Governor Mike Huckabee is with us. Governor, we've been watching the president talking about deregulating. He's been talking about that with small business, and he's signed an executive order to that effect. Surely this is all very good news for small business, is it not?
It's great news for small business, but it's great news for American consumers, because sometimes I don't think people understand. It's the consumer who pays for this regulation. Every time a business has to add the cost of regulation and taxes and compliance, they just tack it onto the cost of the product, and the consumer is the ultimate one who's shelling out of their wallet. This is good news for consumers, and I thought it was another way in which Donald Trump is saying to folks, hey, it's a new day in D.C.
Yes,
I campaigned on some promises, and he's keeping them.
What about implementation? I don't know whether you agree with me or not, but I thought the implementation of the executive order on immigration was not good, to say the least. And maybe that clouds the implementation of other major policy ideas that the president has for the future. Do you think it does?
No. Look, I've got to disagree with you. I think the implementation was exactly how it had to be. If he'd given notice and said, by the way, in a week or two, we're going to actually start enforcing something that the Obama administration first put into place, then people would have rushed to try to beat the deadline. I think he did it exactly right. Frankly, I think the culprit here is how the media has totally, and I mean totally, missed what really happened and what that executive order was. I'm convinced most of them didn't read it. They talk about the 7 nations. Only 1 nation was even mentioned in the executive order, and it was Syria. The other 6 nations all were dating back to 2011, put into law in 2015, and reiterated in 2016 under the Obama administration, and Chuck Schumer wasn't crying about it when that happened. In fact, he voted for it.
Have you ever seen a president of the United States take on the leader of the opposition in Congress and ask who is his acting coach? That's what President Trump did this morning with Senator Schumer, who had indeed cried yesterday at his news conference when describing the immigration order. You ever seen anything like this before?
Well, I don't know that I've ever seen anything like Chuck Schumer saying that the president was unkind and he lacked compassion, that he basically wasn't a human being. So the fact that Donald Trump is punching back, good. I'm glad he's doing it. It's about time we have a president with a spine who stands up and calls out the just utter nonsense of Washington. That's why he is the president. He said he was going to do it. He's doing it. And now a lot of people are wetting themselves over it. I'll tell you what I want to invest in is I want to invest in Depends, because they're going to have a record business just in D.C. from all these people who can't handle the president who does what he says.
Now, just look at Governor Huckabee talking about Depends. How about that? Stay there for a second.